Welcome. I'd like to welcome you to this candidate forum for Alamosa City Council and Mayor. We are proud to bring this to you as the Valley Courier, as well as the Alamosa County Chamber of Commerce. Please join me in welcoming Executive Director Aaron Keck and our Alamosa City Clerk, Holly Martinez. I would also like to welcome KSDK Radio, who has agreed to broadcast tonight's forum live. Would you please stand now and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I had a flashback to a few years ago doing this exact same candidate forum, and Mike Rogers called it to my attention after the fact that when I did what I just did, I said, would you please join me in singing the national anthem? Fraudulent slip. He looked at me and said, Keith, you didn't lead us in the national anthem. Well, that's because I can't sing, Mike. So I am going to start with having the candidates introduce themselves just with their name and what seat they're running for. And I'm just going to start on my left with Daryl Cooper.
Thank you, Keith. I'm Daryl Cooper. I'm running for the Ward 2 position, presently held by Dave Broyles. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lori Smith. I am also running in Ward 2. Thank you for being here and glad to be here.
And I am Kyle Woodward, and I'm also running for Ward 2 City Council.
Hello, everyone. I'm Ty Coleman, and I'm running for Mayor of Alamosa.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jan Vigil. I'm running for Alamosa City Councilor at Large.
Hello, everyone. Donnie Batista, running for City Council at Large.
Hello, everyone. Michael Carson, running for City Councilor, Ward 4.
Thank you, candidates. So I've changed up what I sent to you originally on what the format would be tonight. I'm actually going to allow 5 minutes for your personal introductions, only because I've asked you to give your opinion on the reconfiguration of downtown. I want to allow you to have enough time to introduce yourself, as well as make a comment on downtown as it currently stands. There is a clock to your left. You can keep an eye on that, and we will try to let you know at the 1 minute mark, but keep an eye on the clock. Just to explain some more about the format, written questions will be accepted from the audience on provided cards. Questions may be directed to a single candidate or all candidates in a specific race, or to all of the city council candidates overall. Myself and Aaron will review written questions to screen for duplication and appropriateness. Verbal questions will be permitted from local media, providing they identify themselves and the media they represent. When a question is directed to an individual candidate, their opponent or opponents will be given an opportunity to respond if they desire. I ask all of the candidates to give brief and concise answers so that we may be able to cover a lot of subjects tonight. You will be allowed a maximum of 2 minutes to respond to a question. I'm hoping we can wrap up tonight's forum by about 8:30. So let's start off with introductions, and I am going to open the floor to Mayor Ty Coleman.
Thank you very much. Hi, everybody. I'm Ty Coleman, Mayor of Alamosa. I would like to thank the Valley Courier, the Alamosa County Chamber of Commerce, KSPK Radio, and the City of Alamosa for hosting the candidate forum. I also would like to thank all of the candidates who are here today for your participation. Over the past 4 years, it has been an honor and a pleasure to represent Alamosa as mayor. I've learned a lot over the past 4 years about the city and the people we serve. As a city, we have made great progress working together as a team for the greater good of the entire community. I believe our city has greatness within it, and there are no limits to what we can achieve working together. The people in our community are resilient, hardworking, and caring. I often tell people that during some of the coldest winter months, Alamosa could feel like one of the coldest places on earth to live. However, the people have the warmest hearts. When it comes to my style of leadership, I believe in the acronym TEAM, TEAM, which stands for Together, Everyone Achieves More. Working together with the city and the staff, council, we have achieved significant accomplishments, which include improved access to parks, trails, the Rio Grande River, expansion of youth recreational programs, city street improvements, expansion of our city's art program, providing additional resources for law enforcement, the fire department, and our information technology department, the creation of the Director of Economic Development position to help the city streamline its processes to support businesses and build greater collaboration, promoting our downtown, and the creation of the Development Service Director's position to lead strategic planning, organizational development, and community engagement. We have an amazing city staff that works hard both strategically and intelligently to make Alamosa a wonderful place to live, work, and visit. I consider it a great honor to be the mayor of Alamosa. I also will continue to serve our community with all of my heart and soul. Now, even though I'm running unopposed for the mayor's race, I am not taking this opportunity for granted. So I need your help. I am asking for your vote. Vote for me, Ty Coleman, for mayor. Now, in regard to the reconfiguration of downtown, I believe council and staff have done a thorough job in keeping the community informed and involved throughout the entire process. Having a vibrant downtown was one of the overall top 3 goals in the 2016 comprehensive plan. There was a 16-member community project advisory committee representing ASU, TSJC, the chamber, the county, downtown businesses, the marketing board, planning commission, and city council. Public and stakeholder meetings included 3 community design charrettes, 3 community open houses, numerous focus groups meetings, one-on-one meetings with business owners, and it was advertised on the radio, newspaper, social media, the utility bills, listserv, direct mail, in addition to multiple stories being included in the paper. Online surveys attracted over 580 unique participants and 2,200 individual comments. With all of that being said, we hope that we can continue to make great strides in the development of downtown Main Street. And yes, I am absolutely for what we're doing because we as council voted on the downtown design plan with staff as a whole to bring about a positive, meaningful change in our community. And progress is nearly impossible without change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Coleman.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're now going to move to the Ward 2 candidates, and I'm going to direct them in alphabetical order. So we'll start with Daryl Cooper.
Thank you, Keith. I wrote down a few things this afternoon that I wanted to share. I wanted to start out, first of all, so I do not forget it. As I have interacted with city staff in various places, in various settings, there's a culture of respect, and whether that comes from the present city council, present city administration, but I can chat with the guys that work in the water department, and they are very respectful. And I just wanted to bring that out before I started. I was born in Fairplay, Colorado, but raised here in Alamosa. Attended grade school at Boyd School, junior high at Evans back in my day, and then went to the high school, which is presently Ortega Middle School, and graduated from there. I went on to college, and in 1972 was drafted. Rather than go in the Army, I joined the Air Force and spent 4 years. I'm proud of my service time and proud to be called a veteran, a Vietnam era veteran. Upon my return from the service, I finished my studies at Adams State and graduated in 1978 with a degree in business administration. My life's work was primarily in the grocery industry, where it's several of those positions I was manager. I have worked for City Market, I've worked for Safeway, and for 2 independents, both here in the Valley. I have been involved in the community in several areas over the years. I remember serving on a Chamber of Commerce in Price, Utah. And after moving back here in 1985, I was actively involved with the Boy Scouts of America, serving as a scoutmaster and for a period of time as the district chairman in the Boy Scouts. I have been involved on several boards in town, including time on the Alamosa School Board, where we passed the bond issue that built the present high school. I have served on the Planning and Zoning Commission that's connected with the city, and presently serve as the chairman of the Alamosa Housing Authority Board, where we have done many great things and have remodeled our properties and kept them up. I've always felt the need to be involved, and I've just reiterated many of those. I care about Alamosa and care about what happens here. On my campaign signs, it says, "Make Alamosa better," and I certainly hope to be able to do that. I urge everyone to get out and vote. I understand from the county clerk, ballots will be mailed out this coming Friday. You have until, if you are not registered to vote, you have until Election Day, November 2nd. Again, like Mr. Coleman, I do want to thank the City of Alamosa, Keith Cherney and the Valley Courier, KSPK, and certainly the Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. We will now move to Lori Smith, also Ward 2 candidate.
Hi, my name is Lori Smith. I am a native of Alamosa, born and raised, and as of today, October 5th, I am 57 years old. Happy birthday. I am also attended Boyd, as that was the school that I attended when I was in elementary school. Evans was my 4th through 5th grade. Junior high, which is no longer there because now it's Safeways, has been torn down. And I graduated from the middle school, Alamosa High School, in 1983. I graduated exactly 10 years to the date from college at Adams State, which is a huge asset to our community. I was looking at the comprehensive plan, and it stated that 76% of the people in Alamosa who were surveyed in that 2016 stated that what an asset it was to our community. So between Adams State College and TSJC, I need to give them a shout out, yay, yay, for keeping us strong in Alamosa. I have a degree in broad-based liberal arts with an emphasis in small and business administration, math, and science. I then went on to get married, have 4 children, earn a master's degree in educational leadership, elementary education. And then right after that, I did another second master's degree in educational leadership. I am presently the K-2 building principal, where I have been for the last 18 years, servicing the community from a different angle. I was in the classroom for 11 years, taught first grade, Holly, first grade. So when I look around and I watch our community and I watch people grow to become these awesome adults, I'm thankful that I made the choice to be a teacher, to service the community. I am thankful that it was hard to move from the classroom to be a principal, because when you become a principal, you take away those 24 kids. So I thought 11 years, I impacted 23 kids. That was probably 266 children. But as a principal, the last 18 years, I've impacted, if I have 472 now, that's the lowest number I've ever had, but literally 500 children every year the last 18 years. Have I made mistakes along the way? Of course, I wouldn't be human if I wouldn't, and if I hadn't. But what you do from those mistakes is that we grow and we become better people to service our community. We live in an area, when we talk about my school, we live in an area that is 76 poverty. When we talk about our community, 49% of our community lives in poverty, under $26,000. So in an effort to make sure that we are servicing everybody, because everybody matters in our community, what do we need to be able to do? I kind of ramble, so I'm going to get to the point. Our next topic is about what do I think of downtown? Downtown, they did a fabulous job in putting that together and planning it. But like we know, sometimes when you plan it and you put it on paper, it doesn't end up what you want it to be in the end. And we've heard from our community that they are unhappy with what it, I don't know that what it looks like, but what it feels like when they go down Main Street, and the safety issues and the issues around the handicap parking and those type of things. So what do we need to do? We need to listen, and we need to figure out, okay, let's come back to the table. Let's come back and let's get with the members that have been on the committee, and let's get the people who have come to these meetings and spoke out about how do we now know how do we make it better. We can't solve a problem unless we work together as a community. And there's a lot of people, I've been at the last couple of meetings, who had voiced, I've talked to a lot of people to hear their input. I think the intent, it looks beautiful, but we need to figure out how to gain 18 inches on every side. They're movable, we can do that. I have some ideas about what we can do to help do that. There was some conflict about what do we do with the alleyways? Well, the alleys, it's important if we're going to utilize the parking in the back, the alleyways do have to look nice. We want to be presentable. Alamosa is an up and growing mountain community. You'll know from the Planning Commission, they're talking about we're next to explode on that boom. So we need to figure out how we're prepared for that as a city, and how do we embrace everybody in our community. I'd like to thank, we just hired 4 new police officers. Yay. We're thanking our community members. We are inspiring our city workers. There's a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort to make Alamosa a better place. I never want to disregard the volunteers who did a hard job in being a part of that committee. And I want to make sure that we grow Alamosa together as a team.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. We'll now move on to Kyle Woodward.
Good evening. I'm Kyle Woodward. I was born and raised here in Alamosa, Colorado. I'm actually 6th generation family member of the San Luis Valley. I graduated from Alamosa High School in 1995, and then went on to get my degree in marketing management from CSU Pueblo in 2005. May seem like it took a long time, and it did, but it's not like I wasn't out messing around or partying. We were building a business at that time. My family and I were. I grew up on Main Street. When I was 7 years old, my parents purchased Alamosa Sporting Goods, which is now where Accent on Flowers is. They owned that business for, I believe, 17 years. During the time of owning that business, my family, we were the pioneers of the cell phone industry in the San Luis Valley. We started a little cell phone business out of the back corner of that sporting goods store. And I came home from college. I started my college career at Mesa and Grand Junction. I came home from college to work in the cell phone business. The cell phone business actually grew out of the sporting goods store. We kept expanding and eventually shut the sporting goods store down and opened up Everything Wireless, which a few years later, after opening Everything Wireless, would go on to become the largest Alltel wireless dealer in the entire United States. Not in terms of the amount of stores, but in terms of volume, we were the largest dealer in the country. During that time, I guess I wasn't satisfied, so I became infatuated with barbecue and opened up a barbecue catering business, which is now Woody's Q Shack. So I was running Everything Wireless and Woody's Q Shack at the same time. And then AT&T came in and bought out Alltel Wireless. And at the time they told us we weren't big enough to be one of their dealers. So they pulled the carpet out from underneath us. When we did that, we expanded our catering business into a full-time food truck, which is now a brick and mortar restaurant. So I look at myself as an entrepreneur. That's what I do. It's what I've always done. I think back to a time when I was 9 years old and I was big time into racing BMX at the time. And I sold a piece off of my helmet to a kid here in town. My dad about flipped out because it made it look really crazy. But he told me, what are you going to do now? And I said, well, I'm going to use that money and go buy a better one, which I did. So he told that story quite frequently. And he said, this kid's been an entrepreneur since he was 9 years old. Again, being an entrepreneur, being in business, it's what I do. It's what I love. I also love Alamosa. I love the community. My wife and I were married we met actually in Pueblo. And first year, right after we got married, she's a teacher. She got her first teaching job in La Junta. Later on, we're getting ready to have our first kid, who's now 15 years old and a freshman at Alamosa High School. And we decided we don't want to live in La Junta. We don't want to live in Pueblo. We want to raise our kids in Alamosa, where we know people. It's a great community. It's a great community that I was raised in. My wife is from Creed, so we know the San Luis Valley. We love the valley, and it's what we wanted to do. We wanted to come back here. I love it here. I love Alamosa. I love everything about it. I love the people, the community, the location. It's a great place to raise kids. My dad, my late father, Jeff, did a ton of volunteer work. And I always told myself, he does way too much volunteer work. I won't do that stuff. It takes way too much time. And he would continue to tell me, he told me several times, you need to be involved in your community. And as I worked with him later on in life, he was he was the president of the Early Iron Committee, and I saw what he did with the Early Iron Festival. From the time he took presidency, it grew from around 200 cars to around 600 cars. So working with him and walking in his footsteps, volunteer work is a great thing to do, and being involved in the community is I've decided I love it. I was on the Early Iron Committee. I stepped down though. Just truthfully, being without my dad there, it's too tough for me to be in there. But I currently serve on the Alamosa County Chamber of Commerce. I serve on the Main Street Advisory Committee. I serve on the Alamosa Wrestling Foundation Board and the Alamosa Youth Football Board. So I have short time. I got a little long-winded there, but Main Street, I love the concept. I love the idea. But I do believe it needs some twerks. And like any big project, it's going to need some work. I feel the main work that it needs is safety issues. I believe we can push the curbs back and make it a little bit safer for our residents to be in downtown and tourists to drive downtown. But I do love Main Street, and I guess that's it.
Thank you, Kyle. We're now going to move to the at-large race for city council in alphabetical order. I'm going to start with Donnie Batista.
Hello, everyone. Donnie Batista. I'd like to start first by thanking everyone that put this together. I know there's probably a lot of people behind the scenes that helped put this together. And of course, thank you for being here as well. And I also want to give a huge shout out to being able to sit down with all of you guys. Y'all are community leaders. You've all contributed. You've been in office for 8 years. It's a pleasure to be up here. And I feel like it's an honor to be in front of the citizens of this community, as well as this panel. And thanks for this opportunity. I grew up in Central Texas. a small town about the size of the center. And after I graduated high school, I remember my dad asking if I was going to stay around my community. And from the time I was in high school to present time now, I've always aspired to do bigger things. My dad has lived in our hometown his whole life, and that was a great life for him. He built a great life for our family and built a great life for himself. I really wanted to see more than just my community and round myself out a little bit. I always tell my staff, I'm the owner of Sand Dunes Recreation, and I always tell them that it truly is a blessing to meet as many people as you can in your life, because I think they all contribute to molding you into who you are and what you become. And you also get to impact their lives as well. And that's key for me. I run a business with about 50 employees right now. And part of what we do is not only being a community-based business and giving back to the San Luis Valley, it's also about making impacts in every one of our employees' lives. And we try to do that in the best manner that we can. I've grown up in the hospitality industry my whole life. My dad had restaurants. I've worked in restaurants. I worked in a hotel for a short time. And so when it comes to being on this panel and challenging the incumbent for your vote, I think I know what it means to welcome people into my business, my home. And I look forward to welcoming people into Alamosa and the great things that can come from Alamosa and the decisions that are being made. You know, I know Main Street is a hot topic. For it to be brought up in an introduction, it's obviously one of the hottest topics in this community. And I feel that the idea is phenomenal. I think updating Main Street, making it more attractive, continue to grow it is an excellent idea. I think it's great for the city of Alamosa. With the tourism that comes here, I venture to guess that the Sand Dunes probably welcomes anywhere between 400 and 500,000 people annually. And we should have a nice downtown for people to come and enjoy. Is there some safety concerns? Absolutely there are. You know, I've sat in some city council meetings, I've listened in on them, and the public is loud and clear about it. And I think something needs to be done about it. But I think the idea is extremely positive. And for all those that have been involved in it, great job. I commend you. You know, I look forward to working with you all and giving you some ideas and some insight. And of course, learning from everybody that's on that panel as well. There's a famous quote that I always use, and I use it with all of my staff, and it comes from Mark Twain. And he says that reflection is the first step to reform. And I think that is so powerful in life and so powerful in decision-making for not only your business or a community, but also, you know, when a challenge presents itself, it's really nice to take that comment and that statement into consideration and realize that you need to reflect on what the project was before you can reform it. And I think if you take those steps, it makes your ability to make good decisions, community-based decisions, a lot easier. You know, thank you guys. Thank you everyone for coming out tonight. You know, hopefully we don't keep you here too late. And thank you all. You know, appreciate sitting beside you.
Thank you, Mr. Batista. We will now move to at-large incumbent candidate, Jan Vigil.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Quick thank you to Holly Martinez for setting up this with the help of KSBK and Keith and Aaron. Really appreciate all that. If you are listening live or over Zoom or here in person, my name is Jan Vigil, and I humbly ask for your support for re-election to the City Council at large position. A quick note about myself. Yes, I am a man. I still get that question numerous times. Who is that Hispanic female, Jan Vigil? I was born in Pueblo, Colorado, to Kevin and Wavina Vigil, but grew up on the border in El Paso, Texas, after my parents relocated after finding better jobs. I attended Catholic school from 1st to 12th grade and graduated from Cathedral High School in 2006. I loved my time in the desert Southwest, but I always knew I had to get back to the mountains, the trout streams, and extended family in Southern Colorado. I chose Adams State with the help of then Director of Admissions, Eric Carpio. I took a visit to Adams State in the summer and instantly fell in love with the school. I knew Alamosa and Adams State was the place I had to be to further my education. Little did I know it would be a place that I wanted to settle down and raise a family. During school, I was able to walk on and play football. You could have called me the Adams State version of Rudy. I never played, but I was so happy to be on the team, learning the values of hard work and teamwork to accomplish set goals. Also during this time, I was a strong member and president of the Newman Club, the Catholic presence on campus, headed by Shirley Atencio. This club allowed me to go on numerous service trips to help in hurricane relief efforts along the Gulf of Mexico, building homes for the impoverished in Texas, to helping those in poverty in Mexico. But the biggest effect of this club on me was I was able to meet my lovely wife, Roxy. Roxy is currently the assistant principal at the K2 building with Lori, and we have two lovely daughters, Conchetta and Therese. I graduated from Adams with majors in secondary education, government and history, and a minor in coaching. I was blessed with an opportunity right after graduation to teach at Center School District, and I've been there for 8 years as a high school history teacher. A few of my professors at Adams State had huge impacts on my life, and upon the completion of my degree, they said, "You are ready, get off your butt and go serve people." So I threw my hat in the ring in 2013 for city council, and no one knew the hell who I was. I knew it was a long shot, but through hard work and servant leadership, I think I could get that done. I was able to win that race and beat the incumbent and the former mayor of that time. I look forward. This is the first challenge I've had in 8 years, and I look forward to having a spirited discussion about the issues with Mr. Bautista. Thank you for being here. During my time on council, I have really grown up. I believe I've become a better representative of people and of different groups like small business, quality of life issues, and environmental issues, just to name a few. I believe that I have become a counselor that truly represents all folks and all perspectives. We may not always agree on things, but I always listen. I have open lines of communication both ways. You may not like what I decide, but I guarantee you I will work hard and get you answers if you need them. And we have a track record of getting things done. I am very proud of our council over the last 8 years and what we have accomplished. It's a team effort. But I believe I have been a catalyst to some of these issues, like 2 new dog parks, improving our recycling center with a glass pulverizer, to always advocating for the enhancements of trail systems, our efforts on the downtown, a comprehensive plan. I'm proud of what we did to help small business during the time of COVID. We built a multi-million-dollar purpose event center ice rink. We have attacked our drug problem. We have the LEAD program. We have all these things that I hope we talk about tonight in further detail. In regards to the downtown, the mayor kind of mentioned some of what I had to say, but we had a lot of outreach with the community on this. And these events and these meetings were very well attended. And I do like what we have done downtown. Now, at the second meeting of August, we listened loud and clear to the folks of this city, and they are not happy. They don't feel safe. And I said it then, and I'll say it now. I believe we should move the new curbs back a few feet or so to achieve that safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vigil. Moving on, we will move to unopposed candidate Michael Carson in Ward 4.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to everybody that put this on, and thank you guys for running and being involved. Thank everybody on the panel. I don't know that I could talk for 5 minutes, but I'll try. So my name is Michael Carson. I was born here in Alamosa. I grew up here in the San Luis Valley. My children were born here. We have deep roots here in the valley, and you know, I really don't want to live anywhere else. I will live and die here, and I want to do the best I can while I'm here. And that being said, you know, I ran for council 4 years ago because I had issue with some of the stuff that was going on, and so I always encourage people to get involved in their community. If you don't like what your leaders are doing, you have every freedom to step up and be part of that process and take your shot at it and win. I was a little disappointed that I didn't have an opponent. I was always ready for a good battle if we had to do it. And I say that with enthusiasm because I want people to come to this position that are passionate. We have a country that's in a little bit of a peril now. We got a lot of bad stuff going on. The pandemic has really showed us that we have to come together as a people, and sometimes we're not very good at that. It's difficult. So I encourage people to step up and run for office, and I commend everybody that's up here. This job is tough sometimes. It can be thankless at times. We deal with issues like the downtown that, upsets a lot of people. I'll go there right away. I did do some research as the time went on. I was doing some traveling over the last few weeks, and I did see a lot of towns that have a similar configuration as we do. And I think with a little bit of tweaking, everybody will be happy. Sooner or later, people will become accustomed to it, and it's always hard to deal with change. When I first saw it, I was a little shocked as well. It looked different on paper than it did in real life. So I think as we come together, this council will come with a good solution. We listen to our constituency, which we always do. And again, sometimes people aren't happy with our decisions, but we always do that. I personally pride myself in being the strongest, best voice for the constituency that voted me in and for the entire town. So I will continue to try to do that in my best capacity. I believe that this council, along with our commission here in Alamosa, this county and municipality have a central role in this entire valley. And that means that we have a great responsibility to be great leaders here and set a good example for the entire valley and set good precedents and encourage good modernization and moving forward. And so I am happy with what we did downtown. I think that, politics, to quote one of our commissioners, she came into our meeting one night and she said, politics is best closest to the people. And I believe that. I believe that at a municipal level, we have the best ability to impact people. You step up even a couple layers in politics and you're really out of touch. So the role here at a municipal level is paramount. We have an extreme obligation to do the best by our citizens that we can. And so that's what I'll continue to do. I wish someone would have ran just so that we have some more involvement. I did encourage some people in our ward to do that. The fact that they had conversations with me and told me that I was doing a good job was good by me. They were happy with what I was doing. So that was good motivation to do it again. And I have a young son. And so I've thought about not doing this at times. And so, it's a struggle, but I'll be honest with you, I will continue to do this until someone that I feel has the passion that I do steps up, and then I will support them in their journey. And so I appreciate everybody that's here tonight. Again, I don't know that I want to just ramble for another minute, but thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us as a council. And thank you for being good citizens. The fact that you're here means you're concerned and that you have input, and we will listen to it. And I believe this council, since I've been on, has been extremely effective. We don't agree. We're pretty different. All of us are quite different, but that brings good decisions. You can't have 8 people in a room that think the exact same way because nothing happens. And so the fact that we are so diverse is our power. And I think any of the candidates up here will support and do right by all of you. So thank you again for coming, and let's have a good discussion. Thank you, Keith.
Thank you, Mr. Carson. We're going to move into some questions from the audience, and I will be combining some questions if I feel like that they are related. So, and we're going to start back with you, Mr. Carson, just reverse the order. So besides wanting to share your goodwill towards Alamosa and the particular ward you're running for, what is your personal reason for running? And what are your personal strengths and weaknesses for this position? And if you are elected, what is a realistic goal you hope to accomplish? And that would be elected or reelected.
I think the primary reason I'm running is love of this community. There is, that's all wrapped into a big package because I have children that'll grow up here. I have children that have grown up here, and we struggle with some issues, and I think we need good, strong leadership, and that's why I do it. I know that the people that I've led with, they're great leaders. They're good. They're a good, solid group, and I want to continue to help this community grow and prosper. I know that people don't always agree with some of the things that we've done, but you know, some of the decisions are hard, and that's the reason I'm doing it. I'm doing it for a love of this community. When, you know, there's issues that are controversial. For example, the homeless camp. I thought long and hard before I pressed that issue, because, you know, I own that I was one of the major pushers of that issue, because we needed a solution for some of the problems that we had. If you want to tell somebody they can't camp in the right of way, which they have the right to do, it's a public space. You have to have a solution for that. You just can't bully people or push them around. You have to have a safe place for them to go in order to start moving forward with a solution. You know, those are the kind of decisions that sometimes you have to make and be part of, that will have people showing up at your door with pitchforks and torches. But those are some of the things you sign on for as a counselor. So as a commissioner, as you know, when you go into public office, and those are some of the things you got to be ready to deal with. But primarily love of this community. The second part, I forgot. What was that?
Sorry.
Oh, strength and weaknesses. Well, my strengths, I believe, are that I have extreme drive. I move forward, and I believe in forward progress. And I will listen and, you know, contribute to any conversation. I'm willing to listen and be part of solutions. Some of my weaknesses are that I am a very solution-oriented person, and sometimes I jump ahead a little quicker than I should. That'd be what I consider one of my weaknesses. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll move on to Jan.
Thank you. So the reason why I'm running again is because I love what I do. I love listening to people. I love coming up with solutions for problems. I like getting into debates. I like studying different things. I like getting people from opposite ends of a spectrum and coming together, and let's put a product on the table. Let's promote this product. Let's sell this product to people, and let's move forward. We have done so much over the last 8 years that we need to keep this thing going. We have such a great city council team. It's not one person by themselves. Our team is phenomenal. We work well together, and I want to keep that going. I think a weakness of mine is that sometimes I get too passionate about things sometimes, and I kind of go off sometimes. I don't know about as much as Mr. Carson, but I do go off sometimes, and sometimes I need to control that. I think a strength of mine is, and maybe my fellow counselors might be frustrated with me about this, is you don't know where I'm going to land on a vote every single week, and that's kind of where I'm at. I like to hear what's going on, and let's make a decision at that time. A goal that I have for the next 4 years. Someone in one of our leaders in our city said at a retreat a few weeks ago that we are at an inflection point. We're at the edge of this city really popping off into greatness and awesomeness. We have growth coming. We need to be ready for that. I think housing needs are very important. I think creating a great downtown and spreading that throughout our community is very important. And keep going after the drugs, and with the help of the LEAD program, and going after drug dealers. Thank you.
Thank you. Donnie.
Thanks for the question. It's making the decision to run for city council. I've asked this question to myself several times. You know, my personal reason for running is rooting myself in this community. I've been here for 13 years. You know, when my wife first brought me to the Valley, I wasn't sure where she was bringing me to, and wasn't sure it was going to be a place that I would call home. And I fell in love with her family. I fell in love with this community, and I truly fell in love with what I do for a living. You know, when it comes to strengths and weaknesses and, you know, applying those to the city council position, I think if anybody knows me, they know I'm not complacent. That's my strength. I don't stop. I have a lot of drive. I I will tell you that when it comes to business, when it comes to my family, when it comes to this community, when it comes to helping other business owners in this community, I'm never going to be complacent. I really like to help people, and it's one of my strengths. You know, when I asked myself what a weakness would be of running for city council, my family came to mind. I have a kindergartner, I have a fourth grader, I have a child that's a senior in South Dakota, and I have another child that is in college in South Dakota. And so knowing that I was going to be taking this position, it really put family directly into my mind. And I don't look at that as a weakness. I look at that as more of a concern. But I've been open and honest with my family about my decision to run, and I'm looking forward to it. And so are they. And I haven't gotten any more support than I could ever want from them. And I appreciate that. And it's made this decision a lot easier.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to Kyle Woodward.
So after more than 20 years of owning a business on Main Street, I made the decision to help make a positive change in the city where I've lived and proudly called home for 41 of my 44 years. Like you, I want to see a positive change in our community. I want to see our town continue to grow and to prosper. Getting involved at the local level of politics is about the desire to improve things like communication, economic vitality, community identity, and effective management of our resources. As a businessman, not a politician, I'll bring a fresh, positive, and creative mindset to the council, and through my work, help the city move forward in a positive way. My passion is to bring people together and work towards a common goal and to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. I put my hat in the ring to run for city council, to make sure that all residents have a greater voice in city matters, and to ensure that the council is focused on the needs of our residents and businesses alike. We need policies that permit rational and responsible development, but also retain what makes our city special. For instance, we need to be smart about land use while continuing to be business friendly. My strengths, that's tough. My strengths is I have a deep, deep passion to succeed. No matter what I'm doing, I want to do it and do the best and be the best. I guess that's one of my biggest strengths is my desire to succeed and to be the best. My weaknesses kind of go along with my strengths. I'm a perfectionist, and that can be a weakness at times. I have a tendency to ask why too much, I think. Just for example, when I was a kid growing up and learning algebra in school, I always wanted to know why the alphabet was involved with the numbers.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to Lori Smith.
I have to tell a little joke here. When I told my husband that I was going to run for city council, he looked at me and he says, do you not like being at home with me? I'm like, no, I love that. But the reason why is I have 4 children who live here, who then have grandchildren. So I have 5 grandchildren who live here, and this is our community. And I think that everybody who is running here and everybody on council all has a reason of why they want to be here. And our reasons, thank goodness, they're not all the same, because if they were, then we'd be going in one direction instead of different ones that need to meet the needs of our community. So I am also a member of the ECC board, which I've been there for, 18 years now. And what I'm talking about is universal preschool is something that's coming up and coming in our legislation. And what are we doing as a city to be able to be proactive to what's going on instead of reactive? So when we're talking about how are we going to address our drug issues and our homeless issues, and we have to empower at the most youngest age. And if I've learned anything the last 28 years is that role model is huge. And how do I not stand up and do something great for our city to be a part of if I'm not role modeling for my own children and my own grandchildren of how to impact change in a positive way? So that's kind of why the reason why. My other thing is that my strengths is I am a hard worker. I push. Good isn't good enough. It has to be great. That is also one of my weaknesses because I need to know when to slow down and when to let people breathe and when to let people process. But I guarantee if I am elected, I'm going to make sure that great things happen for our city. And I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to do it with the community members, and I'm going to do it as a team member working with the council.
Right. Thank you, Lori. Move on to Daryl Cooper.
Thank you, Keith. I'm running because I care about this city. An example, there may be many in the room that don't remember, but I remember clear back Quentin, and I believe his last name Garcia. Quentin was a wonderful city councilor who had a passion for this community. Quentin represented Ward 4, the South Side, if you want to say that. And I've always felt like I want to be like Quentin and have that same passion for this community. Having grown up on the south side of Alamosa and buying my first home on 14th Street, and now living in Ward 2, I feel like I have an understanding of all of the areas of our city, all the different players, if you will, within the community. And so that's why I'm running. I'm running to see that the city moves forward. We have infrastructure issues, we have homeless issues, we have housing issues. There are many issues that I feel like I can contribute, having been on several boards. And one thing that I've always felt like, there may be differences of opinion, Jan and Michael and others, but when the decision is made, it's a board decision or a council decision, and everybody steps up behind that. And I feel like that would be one of my strengths. A weakness I have is I ran out of time.
Thank you, Daryl. We'll move on to Mayor Coleman.
Thank you very much, Keith. When I was a little boy, my parents used to tell me, son, it's better to serve others than to be served. So one of the reasons I'm running for the mayor of Alamosa is because I have a servant's heart and I genuinely care about our community and about all the people in our community. I also am running for mayor because in this role, I get an opportunity to interact with people and be a part of the positive change that I would like to see in our community. When it comes to my strengths, I like to think that I'm team oriented, I'm a problem solver, a good communicator, and also a good listener. My mom used to tell me, Ty, the good Lord gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so that you could listen twice as much as you talk. So I try to take my mom's advice to listen to the community members and make sure that I'm making a positive, meaningful change. Now, I have some weaknesses. My biggest weakness is I try to do too much. I try to be at too many places at the same time. I've been trying that so hard, and I haven't been able to be in 2 places at the same time since I've been on council, but that is one of my weaknesses. When it comes to the goals, what I would like for us to do is to continue our pursuit of completing the things that are listed on the comprehensive plan, our downtown plan, and our housing assessment study, making sure that we fulfill those needs. I don't have to create or reinvent anything because the city has done its due diligence to come up with what we need to do as a goal and as a team to make this community successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We're going to go right back to you with the next question from the audience, and I think these answers can be fairly brief. Are you vaccinated against COVID, and what is your position on vaccination overall?
So, okay, thank you. Yes, I am vaccinated. I believe in taking advice of medical professions who are a lot smarter than I am. And I am thankful that I am, because for me, the purpose of being vaccinated is not necessarily for my own personal safety, but also to protect those I encounter. I'm around a lot of people a lot of time, and I never would want to be a person who pass on the virus to someone else because of refusing to take a vaccination.
Mr. Cooper, same question.
Yes, I am vaccinated and I support the vaccination program and would hope that everyone would as we get to that. And I hate the term herd immunity. I hate the term herd immunity, but yes, I am vaccinated and I support vaccinations.
Thank you. Ms. Smith.
So it took me a minute to get vaccinated, and not because I was against it, but because I was dealing with cancer and knowing that my body was ready to accept the vaccination. But you need to understand, in my line of work, I love kids. They hug me every day and I want to hug them, and they need to be hugged. So I am vaccinated. I do believe in vaccination for all. And let me tell you why. To come to school, all of us have had to be vaccinated. And thank goodness that they are, because think of all the issues we could be having in our world with whooping cough and polio, and the list goes on and on. So vaccinations are there for a reason. They're to protect children and to protect us as we grow into adults. And I do support the vaccination, and I am fully vaccinated, but I'm still waiting for my 14 days to be up. So in an effort to protect children that I work with every single day, I wear my mask.
Thank you. Kyle.
I am not vaccinated. I had COVID back in November, and in speaking with my doctor, he recommended that if you have the natural antibodies, it's just as good as, if not better, as having the vaccine. I'm not pro-vaccine and I'm not anti-vaccine. What I am is pro-freedom. I believe that we're all adults here. We can all make our own decisions in what's not only best for us, but what's best for our children as well.
Thank you. Mr. Batista.
In regards to the question, I am also not vaccinated. I can almost reiterate exactly what Kyle said. My sentiments are almost exactly the same. I'm not pro-vaccine, and I'm not, stay away from the vaccine or anything like that. I think it is individual choice. I think if you want to go and get vaccinated, you should be able to do that. There are plenty of outlets in order for you to do that. I have chosen thus far to not do so, and I will not tell you that I'm not going to, but I truly want to see what happens with this vaccine. I think it's really early right now. And, maybe a couple months from now, maybe a year from now, I'll be vaccinated just like everyone else that chose to do it. But I truly think it's personal choice.
Thank you. Mr. Vigil.
Thank you. I am vaccinated. I was vaccinated back in over Super Bowl Sunday, being that I'm also a teacher and I work with students. Having that high exposure, I jumped in line right away. I would encourage folks to get vaccinated. I think vaccination is one of the best ways to get out of this pandemic. We're going to keep banging our head against the wall for months until we get vaccinated. I understand it is your personal choice, but I don't believe that you not being vaccinated should put me or my kids in danger. I just have to comment on what Mr. Batista said with the science behind the vaccine. This is an mRNA vaccine. It's been studied for 30 to 40 years. I do trust the science, and that's where I'll leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carson.
In regards to the first question, that's none of your business. That's how I feel. That is a HIPAA violation to ask somebody if they're vaccinated or not. And I think it's ludicrous that people are going around doing that. I believe in science. I mean, I'm an IT manager and a data analyst by trade, and I have a lot of faith in science. And the science will tell you things that don't make sense to me. Last year, and the numbers in my head because I had a conversation about it, but on September 14th of last year of 2020, we had 9,030,670 cases active peak on September 14th, with 0% vaccination in our country. On September 14th of 2021, we had 9.4 million active peak cases with 70% vaccinated with at least one shot in 70% of people's arms and close to 50% being vaccinated. My daughter has COVID and she's vaccinated today. She has COVID today and she got vaccinated 5 months ago. My mother experienced nerve damage from the vaccine. Actually, there's doctors arguing about that. But I am pro-vaccine. My kids are vaccinated and I believe in vaccines. I don't normally take the flu vaccine every year, but I do believe in vaccines, vetted vaccines. We have several that are great and we've used them. They're in play in our schools every day. And I do believe that it's a necessity in our society. This particular scenario, I think we put the cart way before the horse. And again, I feel it's a little bit ridiculous to go around asking people if they're vaccinated, and it's none of nobody's business. But I do believe in science, and the science, being a data analyst, tells me things that are quite different. And so that's where I stand on the vaccine. Thank you.
Thank you to all the candidates for your candidness. And we are now going to take a 10-minute biological break, if you know what I mean. If anybody needs that, we'll be back in exactly 10 minutes. Holly, if you could start the clock. And again, I appreciate all of your input and your attendance here this evening. I currently only have a few questions left to be asked of the candidates, but Aaron Keck with the chamber has blank cards if anyone would be interested in filling out a question card. Just wave at her if you'd like to. Otherwise, we are going to resume. So I love social media and the email and it all. City Clerk Holly received an email question for the candidates that I think is apropos, and we certainly did not rule out that possibility. Unfortunately, no one can call in and ask questions, but that might keep us here all night. So this is a question for all of the candidates, and I'll come back to who I'm starting with in a minute. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. What will you do to bring in a Home Depot or Lowe's to fill the needs of citizens of both the city of Alamosa and surrounding areas? I believe either one of these stores would be a great asset to our community, and sales tax dollars would stay local instead of going over the mountain. And we are going to start with Mayor Holman with that question.
So personally, that's not a role of a city council person to go out and try to get a Home Depot or a Lowe's. We do have an economic development specialist here in the city of Alamosa, and her name is Kathy Woods. I'm quite sure Kathy is working real hard and doing her due diligence to bring about the type of change we need in the area of businesses that come to communities like ours. Usually when large department big box stores look at coming into rural small communities, they look at the population density. Unfortunately, Alamosa don't meet most of the big box population density requirements. Therefore, the likelihood of a Home Depot or Lowe's is highly unlikely. I'm not going to say it would never happen, but it's very unlikely to happen. But what we can do is support our local suppliers, our local companies that are doing business and home repair so that they can keep their doors open and not have their doors closed. Here's why that's important. When a small business in a rural community goes out of business, chances are a similar business in nature and type will not come to that small town again. Therefore, your small town become ghost towns, and that's not what we want in our community. And another challenge that we have when bigger organizations like that come into small communities, it runs the other businesses out of business, which brings about more challenges and other unintended consequences. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Same question to Mr. Batista.
Being a small business owner myself, I think the idea is grand. I can understand where it comes from. It's really hard in the valley to get product right now. If something breaks in our facility, it's a nightmare trying to get a replacement and not inconvenience our customers. And so I understand where the question's coming from, but I am a small business owner. I like to support small business. All of my friends are small business owners. And I don't think bringing a Home Depot or Lowe's is the answer. I think there are some areas in Alamosa, industrial areas that, you know, we can open up small businesses. We can grow the small businesses that are here. You know, these are people that are rooted in this community. And I really appreciate that they've, you know, taken that chance to open up a business and run it and sometimes even keep it in their family. And so, you know, when it comes to a Home Depot's or Lowe's, I can't say that I'm for that right now. I truly enjoy going and shopping at Husband's. There's a plumbing store in Monte Vista, and I'm sorry that the name is leaving my mind, but I just met the owner and he's a fabulous guy. And it was nice to take that drive over to Monte and support, you know, local business here in the San Luis Valley. And so with that being said, you know, I think that would be my sentiment, is to leave, you know, Home Depots and Lowe's out of this valley for now and really support what we have here at the current time.
Well, again, thank you, Mr. Vigil. Same question, sorry.
Thank you, Keith. So I agree with Mr. Bautista. Getting a Lowe's or a Home Depot is so hard to do because it depends on population. And Alamosa surely doesn't have that population. So then maybe you say, well, let's count all of the valley. Even then, we don't have enough population to bring such a big box store. I would rather support our local, you know, Ace, the Tractor Supply, our local lumber yard. That every dollar spent at a local business will come back and help us, help everybody in this town. We do have our economic director, Kathy. She's doing a phenomenal job. She has, over her tenure working for us, brought in small businesses that we've put in downtown, we've put across our city. And economic development is like fishing in the dark. You just got to keep trying and trying. But if you get a hit, and boom, you're going to get one. You're going to get a business here. And we've done that. And our economic development is in a really good spot right now. I believe almost every storefront in downtown is full. Our city is vibrant. So we just got to keep going with that and support local. We really hit that hard during the pandemic. We had to come together as a community, as a valley, to support local, and you, all the citizens, did that. And because of that, I think our local businesses are doing pretty good right now. So let's keep on supporting them. Thank you.
Mr. Woodward.
I'm going to reiterate what Ty and Donnie and Jan have all said. I told the story earlier of growing up on Main Street, my parents owning Alamosa Sporting Goods. What did Alamosa Sporting Goods in and put them out of business was Walmart. I'm not a fan of big box stores in small communities. But to go on with that, like Ty said, these big box stores, big businesses, they do their marketing research and they determine if there's enough population to make the business successful. And in the valley, there is not. I've never understood the concept of going over to Lowe's or Home Depot for hardware or any kind of supplies like that. You know, people say, oh, you can buy it cheaper over there. Well, maybe you can, but are you willing to spend $100 on gas and $50 in meals to save $2 on a plumbing part? Doesn't make much sense to me. So, you know, and like Ty reiterated and Jan both, Kathy Woods does a great job with economic development. But being in a small community and being in the valley, I don't feel that Lowe's or Home Depot has a place here. I would rather choose to support our small businesses such as Alamosa Building Supply, Ace Hardware. There's a good lumberyard up in South Fork, over in La Jera. So I think that we can. I've never run into a scenario, whether it be a business or a home, where I had to drive over to Pueblo or anywhere for a Lowe's or Home Depot when I can simply buy it here.
Thank you. Lori?
So I'm going to use a recent analogy. My lights went out in my business. I own a beauty shop, a small business, and I needed lights. I went to Ace Hardware, didn't go to Walmart, went to Ace Hardware because they were able to get me what I want, were able to order what I needed. I didn't even go to Amazon. I went directly to supporting our local businesses. You know, it's hard because we live in a place where it's small and things are not accessible. So a Lowe's or a Home Depot, I think it's important. Martinez's, they had a lumberyard. They just shut it down because of where we're at with COVID and not people being able to support their small business. We need to support the people who have made Alamosa great, and that's the small businesses in this town that have been able to do that. I know that there is some truth to the statement that Mr. Coleman made a minute ago, Mayor Coleman made around, you know, you have to have a certain population to be able to bring things in. I'll tell you, I'll go eat at a local restaurant any day of the week before I'm going to go eat at a Chili's or a IHOP or I'm going to go to homegrown small businesses to support that.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper, same question.
Yes, thank you. I would agree with everything that's been said. You know, population density, if you think about the Home Depot in Pueblo, 100,000 people in Pueblo, yet people from the valley, people from Lahana, Lamar area, it takes all of those to support that Home Depot and that Lowe's. And so I think the population density, I'm an advocate of supporting the local businesses to the extent that I can. And I think it's important that we do that. Those are the people that are the coaches of our Little League teams. Those are the people that are the supporters that buy the ads in the newspaper, that buy the ads in the gymnasiums, and on the football fields. Those are the people that we need to support because they are supporting this community. You know, I've seen the Andersons, the Martinez's, just to name a couple of people, but those are the people that we see coaching our Little League teams or on the softball teams or doing those things that support and help in our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Carson.
Shop local. There's not much else I can say. Everybody here's articulated that very well. You know, I love going into Lowe's when I'm in Pueblo or Home Depot, just like the next guy, get lost like a kid in a toy store. But there's just no place for them here. We have local stores that can meet those needs, and we have to support them. Everybody up here's hit it right on the head. Thank you.
Thank you. And Michael, we're going to go right back to you for the next question, kind of on a global level. Do you believe the global climate is changing and humans are the primary cause? What can we do about it locally?
Of course, I believe the climate is changing. I mean, you know, we have tons of evidence of that. Global warming is a very imminent threat. I do believe people play a part in it. And as far as locally, I don't know, you know, a person can come up with a ton of grand solutions and want to do all these great things, but I have a different view because I look beyond the EV charging station. You have to, you know, my concern is, you know, the future of the world is dire either way. The fact is you can have an electric car, but that electric car isn't made out of wood or air. It's still made out of everything petroleum, plastic. These windmills that we see going to Pueblo, they're made in a manufacturing plant that a lot of them are still coal-based or use petroleum. So it's hard to really say that a person can come up with a grand solution. We can contribute by doing things like EV stations for electric cars and maybe even incentives for recycling, things like that. But I have a more dire, realistic view of EVs and electric vehicles and things like that. We have, I've been in IT for 25 years now, and we have millions of kids in Indonesia and other third world countries climbing on piles of printers and copiers that we've sent over there on ships for years. What are we going to do with thousands, millions of batteries? We have communities that are doing rolling blackouts right now on the West Coast. What are they going to do when they plug in 1 million cars? You know what I mean? You're not going to have a rolling blackout. You're going to have a permanent blackout. So that's a hard question to answer. It's not really a simple solution. There's a lot of thinking that we got to do about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper, same question.
I would agree there is climate change. As a city council, I don't know that there's much that we can do. I think as individuals, we can do our part. I refer to my position on the Housing Authority Board. We had tenants of the Housing Authority came to us and wanted to recycle, and we saw that as a very positive thing that they wanted us to provide, and we did. We have provided recycling bins, and so I think all of us could probably do more. I know I could personally do more to recycle things, and yes, there is climate change. Yes, we are getting warmer, but I think as a city council, there's not a whole lot we can do. I think personally, there are things that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori?
I do also agree that global climate change is occurring in our world. I agree that our weather is changing if we can't see it happening right before our eyes. It is happening. We as humans, as people being on this earth, I think that we have a role to play, and it's important that we are being careful with the way we use our water. I think we need to be mindful of plastic. And I think there's things that it's coming up with a way to figure out what is the best possible solution, because also it comes convenience. It's convenient to have a water right here versus going to the fountain and pulling it off. So I think that we need to think about what does the city already have in place. We do have a recycling place. I think we're taking small steps to move to that. I know in my own building, we have recycling bins, and that's been a drive of what teachers have wanted to do. And we're just trying to figure out how do we teach children the importance of recycling. In my small business, it's the same thing. We're worrying about the boxes. One of my gals says, I'll break down the boxes, I'll take them to the recycling center. So I think everybody has to figure out how, if one person figured out one thing to help us with that, it would make a difference, because one times billions of people is a huge impact. So I think that's how it's one person at a time.
Thank you. Kyle?
Yes, global climate change is real. Like I said, I was born and raised here, and I remember as a kid, summertime temperatures may get low to mid 80s. Now we're up into the mid 90s. So yeah, it's happening, like Lori said, right before our eyes. What can we do to help it? I'm going to agree with Daryl. As council, we can encourage people to recycle. We recycle at our business. We take probably three truckloads of boxes to the recycle center per week, encouraging every person to do their part, recycle plastic, recycle paper, cardboard, whatever it may be. On the other hand, I'm going to agree with Michael. I do know for a fact that it takes 70 amps of electricity to charge a car, and it takes 100 amps of electricity to run a house. So that doesn't make much sense to me. Looking at these windmills, all these windmills that either break down or they tear down. All they do is take those out and bury them. They're not biodegradable. So how much good are we doing with that aspect? I'm not too convinced on it. But as individuals, we can do our part by recycling trash, recycling plastic, recycling cardboard.
Thank you. Jan.
Thank you, Keith. Yes, I do think the climate is changing. I think our earth is warming up. And I do think human beings are a catalyst in this process. And I think the city can do more, and we have done a few things. I'd like to explain those quick. We have LED lighting in all or most of our street lights across the city. I'm really proud of that. That's saving our city some money, plus it's environmentally friendly. Like I mentioned before, we have a glass pulverizer at the recycling center where you can recycle your glass. And it's not just recycle, but can you reuse that material? And I'm proud to say that we have used that crushed glass for filling around underground tubes and that for our infrastructure. And I think there was even talk about using that to melt snow and help out with snow and that. It's very, very fine. It's like dust. We have pushed xeriscaping. We have done beautification projects across the city. I'm very happy to say that in many of those projects, we are xeriscaping. We are lowering our water usage. And I think all of us up here and every leader in the valley, I think everybody in the valley says we need to not let our water leave and go to the Front Range. I think that's part of this issue as well. Water is very important. This was controversial, but we did it because I think it was the right thing to do. We did raise water rates on anybody who just uses so much water to water their lawn or whatever. We did get some kickback from that, but it was the right thing to do. One other thing I tried to do about 6 or 7 years ago that didn't fly was I tried to say, let's impose a 10 cent or 5 or 10 cent tax on plastic bags when you go to the grocery store. That was soundly defeated, but at least we talked about it. And that's what we need to do. We need to look forward on these types of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Donnie, same question.
I agree with everyone up here. I think it would be naive to think that, there isn't climate change going on and that, humans haven't contributed to that. I think as a whole, and you look at our country, things are moving in the right direction. You go to the grocery store now or hardware store, and there's very limited options for anything other than LED. And I like that. I grew up in West Texas, so I come from, the Permian Basin, and oil was big industry. My dad worked in that industry. It is now one of the leading areas for wind turbines in the entire state of Texas, where I grew up. There's 8,000 wind turbines in my county alone. And that has come with its challenges. All of the landowners in that area have either rented or sold land to those turbines, and they complain constantly about constant oil spills, about them breaking down. So we do have a long way to go. I like that most of the panel members have mentioned that, you as an individual, as business owners, can contribute. And I think that's the biggest step. I think, from our standpoint, it would be silly for us to continue to operate as we did 20 years ago. We've integrated LED lighting throughout our entire facility, and it's just a way for us to keep costs down, not so much for us as owners, but for our patrons that come in to patronize our facility. Making those decisions to move to LED lighting throughout our entire facility maybe saves us having to raise admission costs on any patron for the next 5 years. And it's, simple thinking like that on a local level that'll really make a big difference overall for this community.
Thank you. Ty.
Thank you very much. I'm not originally from Alamosa, but I remember having conversations with some of the old timers who have been around here for several years. And they often tell me, son, you might think it's cold right now, but this ain't nothing. They say, I remember back in whatever year, it used to be minus 30 degrees for 30 days consecutively. And we had to put coal up under our engine to keep the engine warm and all these different stories I used to hear. And I haven't seen that happen since I've been here over 11 years. So yes, I believe there is some issues with climate change. Some of the things, the city works intentionally. I know a lot of times people don't think we're proactive in thinking, but we are. The city is always exploring opportunities to be conscious of climate change. One thing we could do is we could look at the benefits of modifying our fleet down the road to see if it's a cost benefit. Another thing we can do is we can look at the energy efficiency benefits of LED lighting, in which we have done, as Councilor Vigil has mentioned. Every year when we go to a CML conference, we talk with our community partner, Excel Energy, to find out ways that we can improve in that area when it comes to helping out the environment. And we did that just a couple weeks ago at CML, and we try to implement those practices and ideas that are working in other communities. Another thing we can do as a city is, as we build facilities, make sure that we are including the energy efficiency features, including the windows and also insulation. And more importantly, what we can do is, whenever possible, lead by example. And I think that's what the city of Alamosa is trying to do. That's what city council strive to do. Thank you.
Thank you. So our next question from the audience, and I'm going to come right back to you, Mayor. If you could choose one main issue to make significant progress on during your next term, what would you choose?
Well, it's not always about me, it's about we, and it's not about I, it's about us. It's about the people. So I really would say I would go back to what the people have said in our comprehensive plan. What they would like to see is improved access to our parks and our trails and our outdoor activities. We've expanded our trail system to over 21 miles in our community. We've improved several of our parks. We've created new parks for people, ADA park access at some of the parks. So recreational outdoor activities would be an area I would pursue, along with making sure that we support the revision of our downtown to make sure that our downtown businesses are able to continue to grow and strive.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Donnie.
I really like what Mayor Coleman just started with. It's not I, it's us. And, you know, there's hot topics going on, and there's going to be continued hot topics, you know, throughout the history of Alamosa. The current one right now is obviously the downtown. I think it's the most talked about. And so, you know, going into this, that's the one that needs to be addressed. And I think that is, you know, the major issue that I would try to attack, try to help, you know, ease the minds of the citizens in Alamosa, as well as working with the panel, you know, that has already put that idea together. And I'll reemphasize, I think the idea is phenomenal, but we do have to listen to the community, and we do have to adjust, you know, according to the community's concerns and needs.
Thank you. We're going to go to Jan, but I just wanted to mention I have a cousin who is male, who is Jan, just so you know.
Thank you, Keith. So this the council is a team effort, and we all have our own goals and things we want to work on, and what we want to improve across the city, and all kinds of different things. I think the hot button issue, yes, like Mr. Bautista, is the downtown. We are going to talk about that tomorrow at our city council meeting, so I hope you all attend that. There will be some, there were some discussions with CDOT, and I think there may be some changes. I don't know. But I want to talk about the drugs and in our community. We were getting crushed with phone calls and emails and concerned citizens 3 and 4 years ago about how bad the drugs were in our town, about, and people who had children who were addicted, and is there anything that the city can do? And I'm proud that our council came together to address those things. And we've attacked the drugs in our community in 3 different ways. It's a holistic approach. And the first thing is we implemented this LEAD program. And the LEAD program helps those folks who are addicted, who keep committing petty crimes. Instead of throwing them in jail, that's not going to fix anything. So we give them an option. You're going to go to jail, or you can maybe get some counseling. And we have 121 people over the last 4 years who are success stories. And that's awesome. And I want to keep that going. 2, we hopped on board with a lot of other communities and counties across our country to go after the drug manufacturers. We're going to get some money back to help out with other of those issues. And 3rd is we asked our police to go after the drug dealers. And you have seen in our newspaper the last 5 months, almost every week, our police are getting after these guys. And I'm proud to say that tomorrow in our budget, we have marked them, all of our police, to get a raise. And I really think that's a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Kyle, you're up next.
It's a good question, and I can appreciate it because with everybody running for council, I'm sure that we all have our own ideas of what we'd like to see improved. Mine goes kind of along with Jan's, but it's a big elephant in the room, and it's a homeless problem in Alamosa. But I don't believe that it's so much a homeless problem as we need to find our police department some more money so we can create more law enforcement. I have talked to the city. I've talked to Chief Anderson. The things that we've seen in our business, the things that we've seen in our alleyway. We've had people coming into our business, not even knowing they were coming into our business. I mean, it's these homeless guys are creating, they've created a filthy mess that we've seen, personally witnessed with our own eyes. So I have gone to the city. I have talked to Chief Anderson, and quite frankly, they don't have enough money for enough law enforcement. So I would like to see us get the police department fully staffed and more law enforcement so that we can battle these guys. And it's not that I'm not being compassionate, because I am. I feel bad for some of them, but the ones that are leaving needles on sidewalks and leaving the corners where they're doing their panhandling, just filled with litter. That's the stuff that we need to enforce, and that's one of my main objectives, is to try to get this homeless issue taken care of and get our city taken back and get it cleaned up.
Well, thank you. Lori.
So my one change for me is I'm going to go back to the drug addiction and opioid. I'm going to agree with Jan and Kyle of what they said about there. We have a huge drug addiction problem in our community. It's growing. It's ever growing to our youth. It doesn't leave anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter if you're male or female. It doesn't matter what race, religion, it doesn't matter. It takes all of us. And part of what we know when it comes to drug addiction, it also stems from mental health. And if we've learned anything through COVID, we have learned that mental health is a real thing, and it has affected many of us in many different ways to be able to cope with the changes. So I'm going to take it back to drug addiction. How do we support the mental health, which then in turn really brings it back to the homeless. So yes, the people don't choose. Okay, I'm taking back. Some people choose to be homeless. I went to the community. My husband drove me out there the other night, and I went to go talk to them at St. Benedict campus because I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to see what they had to say about why are they here. Some people choose to be there. Others don't choose to be there. And there seems to be a huge correlation between mental health, drug addiction, and then how do we get these people to be able to come out of that hole and support them and able to do that. So what are we doing as a community? Because we're only as strong as our weakest link. So what do we do to help that? And I get it. The police, we just staffed 4 new police officers, so they need to be able to do their job and help support the community and keep us safe, because it's not right that things happen, but we need to understand why are they happening. I'm not making excuses for them. There need to be consequences for them, but we need to figure out what we've been doing for the last 30, 50 years, hasn't been working in our system. And we need to figure out what are we going to do to make change, positive change for the community overall.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Yes, thank you, Keith. As I was, excuse me, as I was collecting petition signatures, I asked those that I visited with what some of the issues they felt like the city needed to address. My dear sweet neighbor lady said, I only have 3 issues. Dear, dear, and dear. Certainly, I think with all of the other issues we have going on in the city, deer are certainly in the back seat. I do know that the city is working hard with Colorado Parks and Wildlife to address that issue, and that in upcoming weeks, that is going to be addressed and be at a city council meeting. One thing I have thought about over the years, and certainly we need to understand that the council, you may come with your own issues, but all of the decisions are a council decision. They are the 7 people who are on that. And working with the city staff with these issues. One of my issues that I have thought a lot about is infrastructure. I remember when the multi-use pavilion ice rink was being proposed, I made a comment at city council, that's all well and good, but we're gonna have to drive out there on wagon trails. Certainly, and I know that with the passage of the city tax, sorry.
All right, we're going to wrap up this question with Mayor Coleman.
I started it, yes.
Oh, you did. I
yeah, I
apologize for
started.
that. Well, with no more questions, I just want to take I guess I missed Michael.
Yeah. Councilman
I'm
Carson.
sorry. I got out of order here somewhere. I apologize.
My goal for the next 4 years will be to continue to listen to our constituency and work with our council primarily, because like Mr. Cooper said, it doesn't matter what my goal is. We have 7 people up here and we have 10,000 people in our community. And so the goal that I have should primarily be what the goal of that community is. And so that's what I'll continue to do for the next 4 years, is listen to our constituency and try to do the best by them. Every issue that everyone mentioned up here now, this council has addressed. And whether you see that change right now or not, we've addressed it on tons of levels. Homelessness. It took us 30 years to get here. And we've had that camp and the homeless coalition for about 1.5 years now. And in that 1.5 years, whether you understand it or not, we've made tons of progress on this issue. In order to make forward progress with an issue like vagrancy, you have to have a place for them to go. And whether you agree on it or not, those are issues that we've had to work hard to make come to fruition. And so that's going to be my goal. Continue to listen to people, continue to try to make, people understand what our real plights are here. I run a campaign called Protect Our Water. And so for the next 4 years, that'll be a big goal of mine, is educating the people of our community on how important our water is, how important it is to keep it here. We have a looming predator called RWR here. And in my day job, one of my primary goals is to fight them. I fight them every day. And if a predator like that comes in and wins, our problems here are going to be minimal. We'll go away. Without water in this community, we have a pretty hard fight ahead of us. So that'll be my goal the next 4 years, is to continue to listen to our constituency, continue to work with this council, and continue to move our community forward, period.
Thank you. And again, I apologize for getting out of order there. So at this point, with no further questions, I think we owe our candidates, the incumbents and the challengers, a large round of applause for stepping forward. if you looked at the records, you would know that they're not running for the money because this is not a high paid position. They're running because they care about our community and we salute them for that. And we salute all of you for being here and caring enough to see what the future of Alamosa might look like and who's going to lead that. And in closing, I just want to mention, we previewed the candidates that have a challenger in our Saturday edition of the Courier. I brought a few copies along that I'm going to leave over here that free to pick them up. And apologies to Mayor Coleman and Mr. Carson for not previewing you folks, but we decided to focus on those with challenges. So again, thank you very much. We appreciate your efforts to help lead our community. And with that, on behalf of the Valley Courier, the Alamosa County Chamber of Commerce and the City of Alamosa, I bid you good night.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone who came out tonight. Thank you.